Hello everyone, how are you all? I hope you would be fine. This is Miss Sidra Kashif representing MSK Linguistics Center from Pakistan, Karachi, being a proprietor, moderator, plus EFL and IELTS instructor. It's my honor to have a very special guest, Jennie Reed from UK, a pronunciation specialist and neuro language coach. She is a founder of Excellence in English Education. We would like to discuss about really relevant topic which is really fruitful for all of you, whether you are a learner or educationist. It's all about pronunciation mastery in English. And this we would cover learning and improvement tips for pronouncing accurately. So let's be connected. Hello, ma'am. How are you? Warm welcome to you.
Hi, Sidra. Thank you for inviting me here today. It's a pleasure to be here.
Likewise, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Could you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Jenny, and as Sidra very kindly already said, I'm an English coach with a special interest in pronunciation. I have been focused on pronunciation for the last 6 or 7 years, and I work with learners who are wanting to improve their English and also with teachers who want to feel more confident teaching pronunciation to their own learners. And I really enjoy all the different aspects of pronunciation, from the sounds to the rhythm to the stress to the intonation. And I love how it all comes together to help us communicate more clearly and more confidently.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay. So, ma'am, if you allow me, I have designed few questions relevant to our topic. Shall I ask you?
of course. Please fire away with the first question.
Thanks a lot. It's my pleasure to have you for this topic. Okay. So first discussion is all about significant challenges in English. What are the most significant challenges which learners face while learning English as a second language?
Yeah, there are a few challenges that learners face. The first one being when there are sounds in English that don't exist in their mother tongue, and it can be really hard to hear these sounds. So, from when we were babies, we hear all of the sounds. Our brains are wired that we can hear every sound around the world. But as we grow up, our ears close to sounds that we don't hear every day. And by the time that we're 7, it's very difficult to hear new sounds. And so this is the first challenge. It's not impossible, it's just more challenging when we get older. And so this is the first challenge. The other thing is spelling in English is quite challenging because the words do not look how we pronounce them. And this can be hard for learners when they're trying to learn how to write and also how to speak in English. And
Indeed.
yeah, exactly. And then also the rhythm and the stress in English is quite flexible, and it's very subjective depending on the speaker. And so this can influence the meaning of a sentence or a phrase, and this can also cause some difficulties for learners. But again, it's something that can be learned and studied and something that can be overcome.
Definitely. It's all about the environment or to just show your efforts if you want to really improve or learn. And the points which you have elaborated, I couldn't agree more relevant to it, as you told that whenever there is a baby, So if he or she listens to words, he or she adopts that, no? So when he or she becomes 7, so it's a little challengeable to just adopt that, or to understand it, no? There are challenges to pronounce or
Mhm.
recognize the word as well.
Yeah.
Hmm. And another thing is the thing which you told us, it's all about spelling and pronunciation. Like if there is a spelling like adjective, it's if we write it, it's adjective. But if we pronounce it, it's adjective. Same thing with the adjacent. If we write it, it's adjacent. If we pronounce it, it's adjacent. D is silent there. And there are number of words in which we have to silent number of alphabets. That is the most significant challenge. I
Mhm.
researched about it, which I found.
Yeah, so that we have a lot of silent letters in English, and also certain vowels, when we put them
Hmm.
together, might sound different depending on the word that they're in. Um, yes, and this is because English is influenced by so many different languages. So we are
Hmm.
influenced by the Nordic languages, Germanic languages, but also the Latin and the French languages, as well as the Old English and the Celtic languages. So all these different languages come together to create English. So it's no wonder that we have lots of different spelling patterns.
Hmm. Another thing is that number of sounds, they do not exist in many languages. That is the most difficulty for the learners, or if someone wants to pronounce it, na, so it's challengeable. It takes time to improve. So, what are some strategies which you would like to share for native speakers to improve that thing, to to identify their mistakes and just make themselves correct?
Yeah, so the first step is noticing or understanding where the challenges are. And this can be the most difficult thing for most learners, because when we listen to ourselves in our head, we
Hmm.
sound like we're pronouncing it perfectly. But when we're speaking out loud, it sometimes comes out differently. And this is when we need to really be able to hear ourselves speak. And so I often say to my learners, record yourself on
Hmm.
your mobile. There's normally an app which you can use to record your voice and record yourself speaking, so that you can hear what sounds clear and what is less clear, which sounds you need to work on, and whether the rhythm is good or slow enough or fast enough, depending on your personal situation. And I think that this is one of the best tools for all learners, to record yourself and listen back to your voice. I know that many of my learners feel a little bit awkward listening to their voice, at least at the beginning, but once they do it regularly, it becomes a good tool and very helpful for the learners to understand which sounds to focus on.
Yeah, it is. That is really appreciable and useful too. The strategy which you disclosed relevant to improving the pronunciation, that first of all, they just have to see the words, or they just have to remember the words for which they do have difficulties. After that, they could practice to record their voice and listen it again and again until they improve. There are multiple of the apps as well, if they use it in proper way, so they could improve a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I think if they listen to songs, or if they listen to native English speakers. In that way, it would be a really smooth way to adopt the same, and they have to pretend like them. After them, they have to imitate like them to follow the same pronunciation.
Yeah,
They can pause
shadowing.
the video and
Mhm.
they can follow it, repeat the words or repeat the lines in their ways. So in that way, they could follow that strategy and improve.
Yeah, shadowing is a really good tool to use. So finding any fluent speaker, it doesn't necessarily have to be a native speaker, but just a fluent speaker who can speak clearly and confidently, and copying what they say, taking short clips. So don't try and copy a 30-minute audio. Just even 30 seconds is enough to get you practicing and copying the sounds that are being made. And you don't need to sound exactly the same as another person. You have your own accent, and that is perfectly fine. That is part of your voice. And I just want to make that very clear that your voice, your accent is part of who you are. And it's more about being able to differentiate certain sounds. So, this is
Hmm.
where looking at words that are almost the same, but maybe they change by a vowel sound, like cat and cut, and just focusing on being able to differentiate between the two vowel sounds, or cab and cap. So then differentiating the consonant sounds, and depending
Hmm.
on what sounds you need to work on. The minimal pairs, this is what these words are called when they are almost the same, they just different by one sound, and using these minimal pairs to be able to really make sure you're clear with your pronunciation.
Yeah, you are right that accent is not blamed. It's okay from which language you belong to. And there would be difficulties to pronounce, but even the person could try his or her level best to improve. It's okay if he or she doesn't pronounce the same, but he or she has to just somehow he has or she has to try his or her level best to achieve the target to pronounce it correctly. You know, pronunciation matters a lot in English. We have to try our level best. And the remaining thing, we have to let it on our accents. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing that I would say is that everyone has an accent. Native speakers have an accent, I have an accent, and it's
Hmm.
about being consistent in the way that you speak. So always pronouncing certain sounds in the same way will make sure that you're understood. Maybe it will take the listeners a little while to tune into your voice, but when you are consistent in the way that you speak, they will be able to follow you and understand what you say, as long as
Yeah.
your pronunciation is clear enough.
Hmm. That's the thing. Okay, so let's move to another discussion. It's all about your implementation in teaching accurate pronunciation in your classroom. What are some strategies which are really useful, which you follow to teach your learners accurate pronunciation in smooth way without any difficulties?
Yeah, so there are 3 steps for me in my teaching, and I start with the basics. And this is looking at individual sounds and how our mouth and tongue and teeth all work together to produce the sounds that we need for English. And I often get my learners to look in a mirror to check that they are moving their mouth in certain ways, or record a video of themselves. Again, we can use videos of fluent speakers, and then look in a mirror and make sure that we're copying the same shapes. But I think it's also really helpful to discuss the tongue position, and whether it's touching the back of your teeth or not, and whether it's high in your mouth or low in your mouth, because all these changes change the sound that's coming out of your mouth. So this is the first step for me and my learners. The next step is a lot of repetition so that the muscle memory is there, and we then focus on the stress and the rhythm of English. So this is about thinking about which words are stressed in a sentence, the key words are normally stressed, but also about which words are unstressed. So we have 3 levels of stress in English, and certain words like prepositions, articles, and auxiliary verbs are normally unstressed. And so they are said very quickly, and the sound might change from how we expect it to be. For example, the preposition to, I'm going to the park, or I'm going to school, we wouldn't say to normally. When it's in a sentence, we change it to t, and it's almost like we're just saying the letter t. I'm going to the park, I'm going to school. And these changes in the what we're expecting to hear compared to what is actually said can make a difference in our comprehensibility and our intelligibility.
It relates to intonation.
This
Intonation
is
as well.
about the stress. The intonation is more about the pitch and the tone of your language. But yes, it's all connected and helps with the comprehensibility.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, so the third step is intonation and thinking about how your voice moves up and down while you're speaking. One thing I often say to my learners is that, for example, French speakers, they have quite a small range in their pitch. And so when they speak English, they often sound a little bit bored. But if they move their voice a little bit more, they sound more interested or interesting, and we will be more likely to continue a conversation with them, because when our voices change in pitch, we assume the other person wants to continue having that conversation, or they're interested in that topic. And this is a really good key or a bit of a tip. So if you're speaking with someone in English, if their tone is more of a monotone, they're probably not that interested in the topic. But if their pitch changes quite a lot, they are interested.
Yeah, it is. So, ma'am, which pronunciation would you like to recommend? British pronunciation or American pronunciation?
This really depends on your context. So it depends on what you need your English for. If you're going to be coming over to the UK, then learning some aspects of British English will be much more helpful for you. But if you're working in America or for an American company, then American English is obviously much more helpful. But I also have a lot of students who aren't talking with British or American colleagues or friends, but they're speaking with people from other countries. And then it's more important that they're able to understand different accents. So maybe they're speaking with people from Japan or China or India or Pakistan, and they need to be able to understand and be understood in those accents. And so then it's about still making sure you've got clear pronunciation, but also training the ear to listen to different accents.
Yeah, you are obviously right, because it takes time and efforts to follow each and everything relevant to one language. Now, if we go for American or we go for British pronunciation, so no one is perfect. I have seen multiple of the people, they use various pronunciation for few words, Pakistani pronunciation, for few British pronunciation, and for few American pronunciation. But the thing is that it's okay if your message is understandable to another person. It's all about English language, but it's better to follow any one pronunciation, British or American. They can try their level best for one pronunciation, either for British or American.
It's about your preference, about what you want from the language, and as long as you're consistent, this will make it easier for other people to understand you. But there are also Australian English, Canadian English, South African English, Indian English. There's no one right way to speak. And even if you look at British English, there are over 37 different accents around the UK. And the accents in the south of England compared to the north of England, or even in Scotland, are very, very different to each other. And so when I moved up to Scotland 9 years ago, I also had to train my ears to understand the local people. And it was interesting for me to hear these different accents. And I think it's an interesting part of our culture, and I think it's nice.
In short, you mean to say that even there are people in like UK or USA, they do have different accents. And that way, it's acceptable which accent or pronunciation you follow, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm. So just we have to work hard for perfection. You know that we can try our level best and let it.
Yes,
We
I
don't
do
have
say
to
to.
overwhelm us.
Sorry?
We don't have to overwhelm us now. Whatever is
Exactly.
easy for us. That's the thing.
Yeah. And I always say to my learners, perfection does not exist. The only aim is to improve and get better. And the main aim of learning a language is to communicate. It's not to speak with a specific accent, it's to be able to connect with other people through the language. So, this is what we want to focus on.
Yeah, okay. So let's move to another discussion. Huh? It's all about recommendation of online resources that which online resources or apps would you like to recommend to English learners to improve their pronunciation to pronounce accurately? Are there specific websites or apps?
Again, this is very personal and it depends on your or the learner's interests. And I always say to my learners, do the things that you enjoy doing. So if you enjoy cooking, follow a cooking channel on YouTube or TikTok or whichever channel you're using. And if you're interested in horses, follow a blog or a vlog about horses. And it's not about following a specific channel because that channel does pronunciation. It's more about doing the things that you enjoy in English, and this will help keep your motivation and it will help you do the activities more regularly. And I think this will be much more useful for you than any one app that's focusing on pronunciation.
Absolutely right. It depends on the interest that in which app or in which channel they are interested in. And another thing is after interest, it matters that which speaker is understandable to the learner to follow him or her easily. So they have to go for the ease rather
Yeah,
than overwhelming themselves. Again, I would
exactly.
like to mention this thing.
Yes, absolutely right, Sidra. And if you're taking English lessons, then you can obviously ask your teacher or coach for some advice or some suggestions because they will know your interests and they will be able to suggest some relevant and some appropriate level language as well for you.
Yeah, you are right. So, as you told about the teacher, now that your teacher knows, I couldn't agree more relevant to it because indeed, teacher knows very well after evaluation of the student that in which activities or in what kind of videos the learner is interested in, and what are his or her lacking areas or capabilities. How can he or she understand easily? In that way, after evaluation, the teacher could recommend very well that which app or online tool is easy to him or her to follow.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so next discussion is all about how to learn pronunciation faster and precisely without extra efforts or time while learning English. Means someone has set the target that he or she has to learn or improve English within a month, within 3 months or 6 months, and he or she is not a native learner. He learns as a second or third language, but he or she has set the target that to learn it from basics to advanced level along with proper pronunciation. I hope you got my point.
Yeah. So the first thing that I would say is that don't treat pronunciation as something separate from everything else that you're doing. So
Hmm.
pronunciation is an integral part of every part of English. So if you're studying grammar, for example, pronunciation is part of grammar because often when we focus on any part of grammar, we need to think about how it will be pronounced when it's spoken, because often we contract the auxiliary verbs, we contract the words together. So a very simple example would be I'm rather than I am. A more complicated example might be instead of I would have, we would say I would have or
Hmm.
I'd have, maybe, depending on the person who's speaking. And so these
Yeah.
contractions are a natural part of spoken language, and it's something that can be combined with grammar, for example. Also, when we're preparing for an exam, we're often doing a lot of reading, but we can actually take that time and read a little bit out loud so that we're getting that speaking practice without having to worry about the grammar that we're using, our word choice, and we can then just focus on the rhythm and the stress and the intonation that we want to use for the language. And so the other thing that I would say is make it a regular part of your practice rather than just thinking once a week, oh, I need to do some pronunciation. It's actually much better to do it regularly with everything else that you're doing and making it, yes, part of your everyday practice rather than something that you just do on its own and separate from everything else.
I couldn't agree more. They have to learn it along with other things like grammar, reading, writing, or speaking. Pronunciation should also be focused. They don't have to let it for later that they would do after improving other things. Along with that, this is also considered. In that way they could learn it in short time, the goal which they have set. And another thing is that if they are learning in a classroom by the teacher, so this is the instructor. He or she has to give the activities of reading to read one by one. He or she has to ask the learner to read louder. Then after reading, um, then the teacher has to make the corrections after the learner completes. And another activity is listening activities in the classroom, the video or the audios which are played in classroom. Learners has to follow the same the video or uh, like song, or you can say any audio which is being played. This should be pause after a while, no? after a minute or after two, and the students will follow the same. In that way, they could improve pronunciation as well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So teachers can incorporate pronunciation into their lessons really easily. And it doesn't have to be a whole lesson about pronunciation. It's more about including pronunciation as often as possible with all the other all the other activities that we're doing in our sessions.
Yeah. Yeah, especially when there is listening or video class now. And I think for pronunciation, they have to at least set the time on daily basis for 10 to 15 minutes. Or the instructors can manage according to their syllabus twice or thrice a week for pronunciation class. 15 minutes, 10 minutes, it's quite enough. And then the learners have to do the same, because class time is not good enough to be a fluent English speaker. I always instruct my learners that the time which is being spent in the class, whether you are spending 1 hour or 2 hours or 40 minutes, it's not quite sufficient to be a fluent English speaker. Whatever activities I make you do, so you have to follow the same in your home after going back or after your class. If you do um, on daily basis, like if you think that I have to achieve the goal to be a fluent English speaker, then you have to give 8 hours maximum in a day, and that way you can learn or achieve your goal to be a fluent English speaker according to your goal which you have set.
Yes, exactly. And regular practice, yeah, having one lesson a week is never going to be enough for any language skill. It needs to be done regularly, every day if possible. And this is how you build up your confidence and your capabilities.
Yeah, as
Mhm.
I applied the same now. When I was a student of English language, I learned as a second or third language. So I improved like that. 1 hour or 2 hours would not enough for me, because I was really enthusiastic about learning and improving the time period which I set that time. Now that I have to learn in that time period, so I would be given a diploma certificate after completion of that. In that time period, I fought tooth and nail to improve. So I achieved as well. I got first position in the class. It's all about efforts, your interest, your time, because I would give most of the time to revise whatever I would learn in my classroom. Same thing if we talk about pronunciation, so we have to apply the same along with learning or improving other parts of English. Learners have to manage the time for pronunciation as well.
Yeah, and it all goes hand in hand when you're learning the English skills. The pronunciation is part of communication and it can be incorporated quite easily when you're doing other activities. And as you say, it's all about setting your own goals so that you have something to work towards, and that gives you the motivation as well to continue the practice outside of your lessons.
Yeah, it is. Because no one is perfect. Perfection can be seen after your multiple of the years' efforts.
Yes, it takes time to improve and it won't happen overnight, but it is
Hmm.
possible to make those improvements so that you feel totally confident with your pronunciation.
Yeah, it is. And learning has no end. As I have seen, number of old people, they are still learning. They are doing PhD, or they are increasing their knowledge. So that's really appreciable. in short, we can say the same, that learning has no end. We have to try our level best. We have to keep on learning, keep on growing, and increasing our knowledge to try our level best to follow
Exactly.
all resources, whatever we could.
Yeah, exactly. And even if English is my mother tongue, I don't know all of the words in English. And so I often come across new words and go, oh, that's interesting. I think we are all learning every day, whether that's our mother tongue, a second language, a third language, and also everything else in life. I think life is a long lesson and we continue until the end.
Yeah, it is. So, ma'am, it's been really nice discussion with you with a fruitful content. I hope that our viewers would also learn or just get to know about insights of pronunciation, improvement, or learning steps, and they would indeed follow your tips, whatever we have discussed. So, I would like to have sessions with you relevant to pronunciation, being a pronunciation uh, trainer and a neurolanguage coach. I think that you could do better. So we may plan ahead in future.
That sounds great. And it's been a pleasure speaking with you, Sidra. And I hope that people have found this information interesting today. And if anyone wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, I often post tips about pronunciation on LinkedIn during the week. And it would be great to see you over there as well.
Yeah, it will be, because you are pronunciation specialist plus a neuro language coach. They would definitely join you, because you know well, there are multiple of the educators. They provide English language classes, but even they do mistakes. If we talk about your expertise or qualification, it is relevant to pronunciation. So I think that is really fruitful to them if they join you.
Yes, and everyone is welcome.
Okay, ma'am. It's my honor to have you for this fruitful session.
Thank you,
Would like
Sidra.
to hear from you more in future.
Likewise.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.